All right, good morning, everybody. Just wanted to come by and thank you guys again for allowing us to come by and present the Yellow Jacket. Today, I'm Rolando Concepcion with Baker Distributing. This is Ethan Hurd, he's our branch manager at Baker Distributing. And today we have Yellow Jacket, we have Brooks for Yellow Jacket. This is a class, as you guys know, that questions, there's no dumb questions. Every question is good. So feel free to ask any questions, and with that, Brooks.
All right, guys, good morning.
Good morning.
So I am with Yellow Jacket. Yellow Jacket is a legendary HVAC tool brand that's been around for 72 years in our industry. Okay, they're the original manufacturer of the refrigeration hose. Big deal. When you guys get out there, you will definitely see a bunch of Yellow Jacket stuff. Today we're going to go over some simple vacuum pump maintenance, how to properly start a vacuum pump, and microns. So any questions you guys do have for me during the presentation, just go ahead and ask, and I'll do my best to answer. So if you guys see on the side of you, I put some literature, a little Merry Christmas gift card there for you. Did everybody get literature? Yeah, everybody has literature? Okay. Awesome. So the vacuum pump, a very important tool in our industry. To properly finish a repair, once you've opened the system, you're definitely going to need a vacuum pump. What a vacuum pump does is it removes the moisture from the actual system. Moisture and non-condensable gases is what it does. So this guy is our Bullet DC. This is a DC motor powered vacuum pump. Okay. And yeah, let's just go ahead and get started. So proper starting of a vacuum pump. Before you hook anything up, you're always going to want to open an atmosphere. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to open a port, get that open to your atmosphere, and then you can go ahead and start the vacuum pump. Okay. We're going to get this guy started. This has a soft start, starts slowly. In that literature there, I have a hose on the second page. What that is that's a larger hose than you would have on your 1/4-inch standard manifolds. Okay, for quickest evacuation, you always want to use the biggest hose possible with the shortest one. That's going to increase your time of actual vacuum. Okay, so there's that. This is my 3/8 hose. Does anybody have any questions as of now on vacuum pump, starting it? It's pretty self-explanatory.
I have another question. Why
Yeah.
the soft start? Or how is that better than a regular hard start?
For longevity.
Okay.
Yeah. So same thing with the DC motor. Pumps will last a long time if they're properly maintained, period. This one you'll get 3 times the life of a proper pump. So, or of a standard pump, I'm sorry. Another thing with vacuum pumps is after every single use, it's recommended to change the oil. That's for many different reasons. Some of these systems you guys could be changing, say a compressor, have a burnout. You're not going to want to use the same oil in your vacuum pump. It will actually damage your vacuum pump. Okay. So there's that guy.
Can I ask a quick question on the oil? Is it a particularly special oil, WD-40 or?
So it is. Viscosity, so it all depends on the pump manufacturer. It is usually a higher viscosity for a boiling point. So we want that oil to actually get to a boiling point, and the science behind it, I don't technically know it all, but that is the main reason. So yeah, so there's that guy. I'm gonna go ahead and pass this around, just so you guys can kind of see the micron gauge. This is a fancy set. There's other ways to do it, but this will just kind of show you what you're looking at. And in a second, I'll hook the micron sensor up to that if you want to pass that guy around.
Do we all understand what a micron gauge is? My guys? No. You don't? No.
Okay, so a micron gauge, it's the proper way to actually see how far you're pulling down the unit. Okay, you can't just hook up a vacuum pump and let it rip, even though that's how it was done back in the day. This is the proper way to do it. So the actual vacuum or a micron gauge is going to tell you where you're actually at if you have a proper vacuum, okay? Proper vacuum ideally is between 500 and 300 microns, okay? And what you're doing, let me get a little bit farther than that. When you're actually pulling a vacuum and you're reading microns, you're making sure the contaminants and moisture are out of that actual system. That's why we would use a proper micron gauge. So I'm going to show you guys in real time what it actually does. I'm going to hook mine to the actual pump. You would want this as far away from the pump as possible in the rental, okay?
We, in our procedures here, have been, we try to stick with the 500 micron, basically because that's, some of us are in the EPA class.
Okay.
That the deep vacuum is 500 and below, 3 to 5, so that's upright.
Yeah.
We just hooked up a vacuum pump, but the procedure I have them use is to hook up the vacuum pump to the center gauge of your manifold,
Okay.
and to start the vacuum pump first, then open the 2 other gauges up so that I can lock in the vacuum afterwards and not trap anything. So that's kind of the procedure we're doing. You just start the vacuum pump up, that's great, that's what we're doing.
To atmosphere. That's how manufacturer recommends it. You know, I know in the real world that's not always how it is. 500 microns, as you said, that's about where we need to be. Most residential systems, 500 microns, you'll be fine. So 300 deep vacuum, if you can get there, that's not always possible, and you're not always going to have the time for that.
So guys, just to be sure about this, the lower the number, the deeper the vacuum.
Correct.
Unlike pressure, where the bigger the number, the more pressure you got, it's the opposite. Okay?
Wait, that was the one in the lab? I seen one of those on the ground, it was making noise.
Yeah, those do, they make like it's a very odd noise. You'll hear it when it starts running again.
They do, and I'll actually show you what a deep vacuum would actually sound like as well. Because at some point, you will be able to hear your vacuum in the actual pump. So when I started it up previously, you'd hear something like this, just a motor type noise. Okay. So you hear that deep kind of growl. So if I were to guess, this is running at about 600 microns right now. Got my finger plugged on it. That's what a deep sound of an actual vacuum pump is. This guy's a little bit quieter too, being the makeup the actual pump. A lot of them out there currently are a lot noisier. So I'm not gonna run it a whole bunch. If you're using a vacuum pump inside, most manufacturers have an adapter up top to run an actual garden hose too, so you can exhaust outside. Because what you're doing is you are shooting a fine mist of oil when this guy is on. You don't always want to do that. You know, say you're in a restaurant or depending on what you're doing, you do have ability to run it outside. So let's see, let me find the gauge here. So I'm going to show you guys an actual micron vacuum test of this guy.
That particular gauge there, Brooke, is it only for vacuum or is that positive pressure as well?
So this is a regular manifold.
Okay.
It's just digital.
What kind of money we talk about for a set of digital gauges like that?
These run about $630-ish. So, Yellow Jacket is available at all wholesalers as well, as you guys know.
So guys, as I asked the question about price, because that tool will help you immensely on the job. It'll cut down your time a lot compared to the old-fashioned just mechanical gauges. So just to give you an idea, what kind of costs you're going to be looking at down the road when you want to start your own business. That's why I said start a tool fund now from your first paycheck, put a certain amount aside, so by the time you get there, you've got the $700-800 saved up to buy these kind of tools.
Tools are huge. We don't make money in this trade without tools. You're going to realize once you get out there and you're actually doing it, the tool, you have to have the tools, definitely. They can be basic to start off with. Like Wayne was saying, there are a lot of electronic devices out now make your life a little bit easier, get you off the roof a little bit quicker. So it's a way of the future is what it is. Everything progresses, and this is just another progression. Okay, so now we're running an actual micron test. Right now we are open atmosphere, 76,000 microns. And I'm going to go ahead and plug this hose here, and you guys can watch that kind of drop. See that fluctuation on there? So what we're currently doing is we're pulling moisture out of the system if it was unreal. Why we pull moisture out of the system is for a couple of different reasons. Moisture in an air conditioning refrigeration system will damage compressors, do a lot of damage. You have to have the moisture out of there. Okay? So having a vacuum pump in your tool bag is going to be a mess. Yes, yeah. So I have a wireless micron gauge hooked up to it.
So that's where the readings are coming from, actually one is the wireless transmitter attached to the pump. And then transmitting to the guys.
Thanks for mentioning that, yeah, because everything right now is set up all wireless, just for ease of use to teach the pumps. It's kind of cool. What are we sitting at right now? About 100 microns? 84. Okay. So 84 is lower than really you'll ever get, but it's good for demonstration. Let's open it back up. So in the procedure of evacuation, like I was saying, it's having the bigger hose makes it quicker, okay? Another thing you guys are probably going to learn down the road is when you evacuate, the procedure is remove the core shredder core, which makes it quicker as well.
You guys know what the shredder core is, what we're talking about?
Yeah.
My class, you guys know what a shredder core is? Okay, it's that little pippy inside the valve, you know, like when your valves, your bicycle, your car, that little plunger that you push down, that's it. That's called a shredder core. That valve is called a shredder valve. And that's called the core. And there's a special tool to remove that core. So you just got to open holes so you can get your vacuum out a lot quicker.
Yeah, which it's basically like a bike tube, right? So if you look at a bike, you look at the stem, you're going to see something that resembles that on an HVAC system, definitely.
The service valves that we looked at earlier today, guys, they are shredder valves and they have the shredder cores in them.
Correct, yes.
And those are the ones you would be removing if you want to put a vacuum much quicker.
Any questions on why we vacuum? You guys have any specifics or? I guess in an easy way to put it, you're cleaning out the system. You're drying out the system is what you're doing. So if you were to change a compressor before you put refrigerant back into that system, this would be the procedure.
So would you do a nitrogen flush first, or would you just go straight to vacuum?
No, okay, so you would want to remove the nitrogen and then vacuum.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. So there's that. I also want to pass this around. It's a little bit of a show and tell type thing today. Mini splits are super big in our field. They get bigger every single year. To properly tighten down a flare on a mini split, you need a digital torque wrench. So every mini split manufacturer in their manual or on their data plate has an actual pounds per torque for your flare gun. That's
Why do you
that
guys
is.
think that is? Why is there a specific amount of tightness? Torque is tightness. Why is there a specific amount of tightness on those flare fittings? What do you think? And you don't get leaks, so you have a proper seal. So, number of things. If it's too tight, you're going to damage the threads. You're going to damage the actual flare itself. You're going to have leaks. So there's a specific amount. And it's really difficult to do it right when you first start out. Old farts like me, we do tens, thousands of those things, you've got a feel for it now. But in the beginning, you won't have a feel for it. That's why a tool like this is really important, so you don't mess it up. Because if you mess up a thread fitting, what are you gonna do? You've got to cut it off and start it all over again.
Which when you're trying to get off a job, that's the last thing you want to do. Definitely, so.
And it'll happen on a Friday evening at about
It will.
4:30, right?
Exactly. So it's a precision tool, okay? That's the other thing about our industry. All these tools help you do it correctly. It's precision, okay? There's a lot of guys out there, slap stuff together, leave. We don't want to be those guys. So there's that. We'll pass around the shredder core remover as well. So with this tool, you're able to remove a shredder core from a system without actually letting the pressure out. Okay?
That's cool.
These are cool.
Those things, the guy invented that. I hope he's a millionaire because he deserves it.
It has to be. So pass that guy around, take a look at it. I'll explain how that guy works.
We know it wasn't us who invented that.
It wasn't me.
Still working, yeah,
It definitely
yeah.
wasn't me.
Yeah. I've been a sunny beach, some sipping Mai Tai.
Right? So far as tools, what do you guys have currently? Analog gauges?
Yeah.
They do? Okay, perfect.
Want to trade him?
Yeah, I'll be working with you guys if I do that, definitely. You guys have any tool-related questions, period? Yellow Jacket does have a full line of service tools. We do everything from hoses, vacuum pumps, recovery machines, all kinds of good stuff. And that sensor sheet you're looking at there, those are some of the newer precision tools to make life easier, definitely. And at some point, there is California Title 24 out there, which is a code that we follow in California. They will require data logging tools at some point. So just kind of keep that in mind for the future.
What was it called?
California Title 24, yes.
That login of what sort of parameters?
So as far as efficiency, new install efficiency, that type of thing.
Okay, so the overall performance of the system.
Yes, definitely. And that's something you'll have to show to the inspector as well. Yes. So I know that's already starting to happen in my area, the Fresno area. So it's coming quicker than a lot of people thought.
So that's what happens when you open the door and let the government get involved.
That's exactly what happens. Yes, definitely. Try to make our lives hard, right?
Oh, yeah. Any industry, you must know what we gotta go through as teaching. You can't believe it.
Oh, I'm sure.
All fucking M's.
Yeah, I'm sure. I've been in the industry 15 years and it changes every couple of years. It always changes.
Guys, just for what it's worth, the second page that's got these tools here, those are the kind of digital tools that you want to be buying. Okay? I would start out first, I'd get the digital psychrometer.
Psychron, definitely. Yes,
That'd be
make
the
life
first
easy.
one I'd buy.
Makes life easy. Definitely. So is there any other questions I can answer for you guys?
All these tools, do they have to hook up to that manifold or?
So they do hook up to the manifold. They hook up to an app on your phone as well.
Oh, so these have Bluetooth capability as well?
They all do, yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, we sell a pressure sensor now. The pressure sensor kind of gets rid of manifold basically.
Is that good for both the high and low pressure side?
Yes, correct. What that would do is that would basically let you do everything your analog digital manifold can do on a phone or tablet.
What kind of retail are we looking at for this ballpark? I'm not gonna hold anyone down.
So those are about 100-ish.
Well, that'd be one of the best $100 you'd ever spend.
They're not outrageous. They're definitely not. Well, no. As time starts to go on too, the digital tools are settling down a little bit as far as cost-wise, so it'll be more obtainable than it was like when I started with it.
Well, I looked at the cost of like digital gauges 5 years ago and today.
Yeah.
Even the big names like yourselves have come down since then. The Chinese are jumping into it and some of their stuff is like digital gauges for $80. I wouldn't buy it, but, it just goes to show you that competition can be healthy, but guys, like I said before, when it comes to tools, buy the best you can afford.
That
That's
is
the bottom line.
that is a good point too. And back to the digital manifolds, even in a lot of the larger wholesalers, a lot of those digital manifolds are produced in China and rebranded. So the good thing about Yellow Jacket is it's a U.S. manufacturer. All our tools are made in the U.S. Besides for maybe like the screen on the digital, that's about the extent of it. Everything else is U.S. manufactured. So.
Yeah, guys, made in America, you might be thinking, when it really counts is if you have a problem with something. This after-sales service of the Chinese guys is non-existent.
No.
Whereas American manufacturers still believe in after-sales service. And I'm not slagging the Chinese, there's many other Indians and Pakistani manufacturers, the same. If you have a problem, they don't know who you are, they don't want to know who you are. American manufacturers, you go back to the manufacturer, they will help you every single time. It costs you more, but you get what you pay for.
That's 100% correct, and that's the other reason you deal with a wholesaler as well, compared to purchasing your tools online. Problem with buying them online is once you need help, once there's an issue, good luck. If you have, say you have that problem with that Yellow Jacket digital manifold, stick it in your truck, drive down to Baker, the guys will take care of you right there. So that's another big deal in our industry is dealing and staying in wholesale, because at the end of the day, you want somebody to go to when you need help.
And to both you guys' point, capacitors, for example, made in the USA, our capacitors that are made in the USA have a 5-year warranty. We carry both the Chinese and the US-made capacitors. So the US-made capacitors have a 5-year warranty. The Chinese-made ones have a 2-year warranty. So it might be a little bit more expensive, but it prevents callbacks. Yes, sir.
Your digital, this is your
Digital pressure sensor, yes.
digital pressure sensor.
Yes.
You have 2 connections. One connection goes under the unit for almost 0 refrigerant loss, correct?
Correct.
And then you got another port. I use the field piece over here, and that doesn't have an extra port. I gotta put a T on if I wanna put another manifold on to do a vacuum, or to do, with my gauge on,